Hey guys, Shane here, Flight Simmer. Welcome to another episode of Full Flight. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, this is where we take a viewer's suggestion of a flight that they want us to do. It could be any different type of simulator, aircraft, or route, you name it, and we'll try to do it. So someone suggested, Shane, can you do a milk run or Australian milk run? So we're going to do just that into the PMDG 737 in Prepare. This is our first prepared episode of Full Flight, so looking forward to it. We are in partially sunny YMML, so Melbourne. This is Orbx scenery, and we are flying all the way to Sydney for fly Tampa scenery, so should be a good flight. And I've just done the latest Just Flight Traffic Global update, so we're going to give that a spin. So all the traffic that you can see, everybody jumping down to runway 34, all provided by Traffic Global. We're going to do this flight offline because we're going to see how the traffic is flying around the aircraft. So with been saying that, time to jump in the cockpit and get ready for our pre-flight. Welcome to the cockpit of the PMDG 737. So I pretty much just connected the ground power. So I got the position lights on, the emergency lights on, the battery on, and then we turned on for the ground power. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn the navs on so the IRSs can align, and then we're going to jump into the FMC and put the fuel in here. My flight plan is at about 6,000. I think it was about 6,000 kilos, so we'll put 8 in to be safe. It's already got 20,000, so that'll make us rise up a little bit. We'll just wait for the FMC to say the IRSs are aligned, and then we'll put in our position. So some of you guys are very familiar with the cockpit of the PMDG. The FMC has popped up. So we're going to go into and align our position. So you'd be familiar with what I'm doing here. For you guys that fly a lot of GA and you want to get into airliners, please let me know in the comments, and I can do a really in-depth pre-flight for you, because probably getting your head around the FMC is probably the hardest thing to do. So we're just putting our nav coordinates, and we're going to put in a YMML in the original. Our flight today, I'm not going to do a Qantas even though we're in Qantas livery. I'm just going to call it Oz123 because I've been lazy and I can. So that'll be a flight today, and our destination is YSSY. And we'll go straight into our departures. So I'm going to do the Dussel 9, and we're going to take off at a runway 34. And then for my arrival, like I've mentioned in the previous videos, I'll just go and pick the runway, which is going to be 34 left. And I'll do more work around that as we're flying, because the weather may change. So we're going to activate that and pop our legs in. So I'm just looking at my flight planner. And yeah, I think it's only 3 or 4 legs on this one. But the FMC is pretty much straightforward. It doesn't matter if you're flying a 777, a 747, 757, 767, or the 737. They're very, very similar. So once you get the knack for one of them, everything else is pretty much in the same spot, which is really, really cool. They have a couple of slight differences, but they're pretty much all straightforward. So I like putting my flight plan in through the legs section. Other people do it in different ways of doing it, but this is how I like to do mine. So basically, align the FMC, put your position in, put your fuel loads in and the passenger loads in, put your route in, and then put your performance in, which is going to be your takeoff performance, your climb performance, and your cruise performance. And you're pretty much done after that. And if you can't put your LNAV on and your VNAV on, you've done it wrong, and you need to go back and have a look at it. So that's pretty easy way. So I like to put it into step mode or plan mode, so then I can just step through the flight plan, make sure I don't have any discontinuities. And for everybody that's been asking for me to do Airbus flights, I'll definitely do some Airbus flights, but there is one issue. I couldn't fly an Airbus to save my life. It's been many, many years, so I'm going to have to teach myself. So I've picking up the A320 Ultimate in X-Plane, so I'm going to learn off that. Give me a couple of weeks and I'll be able to pin it down. It won't take me long. Some people say it's easy, so but yeah, I haven't flown an Airbus since FS9, so it's going to be pretty fun to learn. So I'm going to pick that up, and then I'm going to pick up the Aerosoft Airbus as well when it comes out. So there'll be my 2 Airbuses I'll be using. So we're in takeoff mode. I've sort of been rattling on a little bit too much. We've nearly programmed the FMC, so we're basically going to put in our V2 speed, which is 145, and our climb, I want to change it to 240 over at 10,000, so I basically don't want to go over 250. Once we get past 10,000, then we're good to go. So I'm just making that change for the climb. Our cruise altitude should be 35,000 feet. We're going to turn our flight directors on, and then we're going to turn our VNAV and LNAV on, so we are good to go there. So the FMC, everything is ready to go pretty much. We'll put our course in. I think it's 339, but I will double check that before we leave for runway 34. So we're going to get rid of the FMC for now. We're all done with that sort of stuff there, and we're going to keep powering up the aircraft. So we're going to turn the first fuel pump on. We're going to turn the APU on and wait for it to spool up. I'm going to skip ahead because it will take, you know, a couple of seconds to do that. So APU is pretty much nearly done, so we're going to flick that over. And then we'll change to our battery rating to APU. We'll put our yaw dampeners on. We'll go and turn our window heats on. Oh, I won't turn the pitot heats on at the moment. We'll turn our electricals on. We'll turn our no smoking and seatbelts, and we'll turn the left pack on just so we get some air into the aircraft. Our flight altitude is going to be 35,000, and our landing altitude, I think it's 400 for today, for our departure anyways. Time to jump back straight into the FMC, and we're going to go to ground connections and turn the ground connections off. We'll remove the chocks off at the same time, and we'll get ready for pushback. We'll make sure all the doors are closed, which they are, and all the equipment doors are closed, which they are. We'll set up our pushback. We always get confused which is right, which is left when it comes to PMDG pushback, but we'll hit 90 degrees. We'll leave it the way it is. Hopefully it turns us out the right way, and we'll go and hit start for our pushback.
And ground, cockpit.
Go ahead, Captain.
We're all set to go up here. We've been cleared to push and start at your discretion.
Roger that, ready for push. Power and air are clear, doors closed. We are ready for pushback. Release parking brake, please.
If anybody's wondering, I do have GSX, but I'm not using it because it's been playing up, so I'm just going to wait for GSX version 2 to come out, and I'll get the upgrade, and then I'll start using that. So for now we'll just use the PMDG
Brakes off, here we go.
pushback. It's generally reliable, but we'll jump out outside and have a bit of a look as we're getting pushed back. Alrighty, so we are turning in the right direction as you would. The nose is going right. I always confuse myself anyway, but we're going to get ready for engine start off. So turning the fuel pumps on and engine left to ground, and we will add the fuel between 20-24. Everybody has their own different opinions. There's probably right reason if I read a manual somewhere, but we'll get it. There we go. Which will start to spool up and come to life. Getting a little bit nervous how far we're getting pushed back though, so I'm going to hit stop for now. And we'll put the parking brake on. Look like a bunch of incompetent pilots just sitting in the middle of where we shouldn't be, not lined up anyways. But that's okay, we'll just blame it on the tug. Speaking of that, I was actually been watching YouTube today and looking at videos, sort of different videos of accidents that happen to on the aprons, or accidents that happen during ground handling, which is quite funny, of tugs ramming into nose wheels, or aircraft ramming into tugs and gates and stuff. You'd be amazed how many accidents are out there when it comes to that sort of thing. So it was pretty cool to see, and some of it was quite funny. You think, how does that happen? But anyways, so we're just adding the fuel into the second engine. It's coming alive. Whoops, and I just remembered I haven't set the QNH. So as you guys can tell, I don't really use a checklist at all. I just go through my own flows of, usually nothing is in the same, or most of it is in the same order, but I usually forget things as we go along, so I don't really follow a checklist. Doing the lazy way of flying, so to speak. So engines are on, so we're going to flick that over to the generators. We'll put the other pack on, and we'll start getting ready to shut down the APU, because we don't need it anymore. And we'll switch her off. So we're under its own, aircraft's under its own power. Oh, it was with the APU anyway. We should be pretty much good to go for taxi. Let's put the yoke up so we can see what we're doing, and we'll turn the taxi lights on. And I'll drop the parking brake, and we'll make our way out of here. There we go. So it was interesting before when I was having a look around where the traffic was. Active Sky says we are going off runway 34, so we'll make our way down there for departures, but looks like they were doing arrivals and departures from runway 34, and also a runway 16, I think it was. So that was interesting, but we'll see how we go. Everybody was making their run down to runway 34. There we go. Had some issues there. Would have been some sort of scenery loading in or something playing up. And it's quite interesting, after being in X-Plane for a couple of weeks, jumping back to P3D, how this thing taxis differently to what some of the other aircraft does in X-Plane. We'll jump to an outside view. Views today are being provided by Chaseplane. So I use Chaseplane for P3D. If you're going to do any sort of videos, even though these are such a raw sort of format of video, you need to have some sort of camera system. So use Chaseplane and X Camera for X-Plane 11. So but I need to play around with the presets. All my videos with Chase Plane, I do my own camera shots, but I was just using the cinematic view, but the zoom is way out because I don't use it too often, so I'll have to have a look at that. So another 737, looks like he's going over to the maintenance section there, and I think we had, might have been another Qantas aircraft just departed runway 34 before. Doesn't look like we've got anything incoming, so we should be able to pretty much go up to the hold line, get the aircraft ready, and we will take off. As I mentioned before, I think I mentioned before, we're flying offline again today, only because I've just done the latest update for Traffic Global. So I want to just see how that's going to work with the displays here and make sure I can see the traffic okay and what type of traffic. So I'm experimenting with that while I'm taking you guys for a flight today. Orbx Melbourne. I've flown out of this airport many times because I used to live down this way many years ago, but I love this scenery from Orbx. Some people say that it's not very good with performance, but I sort of beg to differ. I find it's quite good for a larger airport, so I really enjoy flying out of Melbourne. I do a lot of the milk run flights myself, just in my personal time. Do something easy if you just want to go for a fly. You've done it many times, you don't need to really think about what you're going to do. So yeah, it's worth a look if you haven't picked it up. So we're just pulling up to hold, and we'll get ready and configured for takeoff. Alrighty, so we are going to turn our landing lights on first. We'll turn our taxi lights off. We'll put our strobe on. Seatbelt signs are on. Put them to both. We'll change them to flight. And I forgot to turn the probe heats on before, so maybe I should have turned them on earlier. Put our TCAS on. Obviously I've set the radios to Unicorn already. We'll do the old traditional 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and auto throttle needs to go on, and we are ready to go. Parking brake is off, and we'll pretty much just roll out to the runway and get going. There we go. And yeah, we'll pretty much hit Toga and we'll be on our way. So I'll be quiet now. You can enjoy the departure out of Melbourne, and I'll talk to you soon.
V1, rotate. V2.
So gears going up, pretty much straightforward flights. We're going to start knocking back the flaps in a second once we increase a little bit more speed. And I'm going to pretty much fly it up all the way to about 3,000 feet, and then we will get the autopilot to take over. The last notch of flaps down. We're just passing 200, as in our speed is 200. Last notch flaps going down. Then we'll keep going up to about 3,000. So a bit of a headwind going into runway 34, but it didn't really bother us too much. Switch to autopilot on, and we'll try again. There we go, and the navs, the V and the L, taking over. So put the landing gear to the off position, and we're already passing, just about to pass through 5,000 feet. And hopefully with the changes we made before, the speed shouldn't go anything over than 240. So we're just making a right hand turn, and let's have a look at our departure. So we're approaching pretty much 10,000 feet, so we're going to turn the lights off, but it's pretty windy up here, so it's going to be an interesting flight. Active Sky said we should be flying at 39,000 feet for the best ride for our passengers, but we'll see we go at 35,000. So lights are off. We'll turn the seatbelt signs off for now, but you never know. We may have to put them on a little bit later, but there's pretty much not much to do for now. We're going to keep ascending up to our altitude. We've got some clouds coming up, so we'll put the yoke up and we'll change the to standard, but you've got some clouds coming up there, so we might get some good outside footage, but we'll continue along and we will plan our arrival once we're in our cruise to Sydney. So welcome back. We are at our cruise altitude, and we're just going to organise our arrival into Sydney. So I'm going to bring up the FMC, and we'll go straight into our departures and arrivals again. Go back into our arrival. We are going to be landing into runway 34, which will be ILS left, and we're going to do the rivet for the star. Execute all that. Go back to our legs. We'll change it to plan mode, and we'll just go step it through, make sure there's no issues or discontinuities, if I can speak today. But looks like we've got something bogus happening. The it's spewing off the screen there, so we'll flick through. We've got some vectors there, you can see, so we'll get rid of those in a second. There we go, we'll knock those out. Execute, and there we go. Oh, it's an interesting flight plan, but that'll do. That'll get us there anyway, so it should be fine. Everything else looks pretty good. Yep, should be fine. And we just need to pop in our radios for our nav, for our ILS. 1110. Okay, that's in the box and ready to go. So all we pretty much need to do is enjoy the flight in. I'm going to come back to you as we come to our top of descent and start descending, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a smooth flight, but it's been pretty bumpy so far. Welcome back. We're just about to hit our top of descent, so I'm going to get the aircraft ready for that. And it's been blowing the gale. You probably saw on those external shots there that it's been quite a messy flight. So pretty much had the seatbelt sign on the whole time. So Active Sky was 100% correct when they recommended me to fly to 39,000 feet, but I didn't take them up on their offer, so just pop the yoke back up and might jump out to a wing view so you can see. Okay, it's starting to get a little bit bumpy again. There we go. You can see the bumpy, and we'll look at the slow motion on the wing flex for the PMDG. Really wish they just did an update to fix that. Yeah, been a bumpy ride all the way through. So unfortunately there's not much excitement till we get down to about 10,000 feet. So I'm going to skip along till then, and I'll come back to you just in a short second and we'll be hitting 10,000 feet. So apologies, I've told you guys a little white lie. We've come back just under 8,000 feet. I've had some issues with the scenery loading in. It's taking its sweet time. So not everything is ponies and rainbows. So I just cut a little bit out because it wasn't very exciting, because I had you know, purple and black colors absolutely everywhere, and the scenery's still loading in. So we're going to begin our right hand turn and do pretty much our dog leg and do 180, come back into runway 34 left. I haven't really needed to use the auto brake. Sorry, I haven't really needed to use the air brake so much. So LNAV's doing its job. So no cheating to slow the aircraft down, so to speak, at this stage. Getting some swiffering effects of the clouds from Active Sky, and that's just one thing every time I jump into prepared. One thing that instantly gets me is the crisp and clearness and the lighting of prepared, and also the clouds. I miss the clouds, the 3D clouds in prepared that's not in X-Plane. So once that happens in X-Plane, Active Sky goes in there, shut up and take my money, and it's going to look absolutely awesome. So while I'm descending down, I'm always keeping an eye on my legs page and making sure that the aircraft is at the right altitude and speed. Is it above 3,000 or is it below 3,000? Basically making sure if I need to jump in or not, but we are doing quite well at the moment, so there's no issues there. And we're just about to creep up on a decel section there, so I've just jumped ahead. Decel. The aircraft slowed down a little bit. So I was going to do this flight in a version, what are we up to? Is it 4.3? Yep, 4.3. But I decided to hold back. To be honest, I was a little bit lazy. I just couldn't be bothered doing the updates and doing some of the updates from Active Sky and whatnot. So the next prepared video I'll definitely be updating by then, because I'm really keen to check out what they've done in VR wise. So I'm really excited to check that out. And in Sydney we're using the Fly Tampa scenery. I only just recently did the patch for V4. I had Fly Tampa scenery for Sydney for for V3 for ages, but it just only updated the V4. I don't know why I've only just done that, but anyways. So we're making our turn into runway 34, or getting there anyway. So we're down to just passing under 4,500 feet down to our next waypoint, which we need to be above 3,000. Once we see the runway in sight, I'll pretty much stick it on approach mode and give you guys a bit of a view of the runway as we try to capture the ILS. And we'll chuck in a sneaky stage 1, so we go flaps 1, nearly at 200, so it's a little bit early, but it will speed the aircraft down. It's within limits, and usually don't use stage 2, just bypass and go straight to stage 5. Look at that, I love that water and the water reflections in those clouds. Absolutely awesome. Flaps 5 are selected, and we're going to begin our last turn, left-hand turn. Don't mind me playing with trying to switch it on to manual speed. There we go in Sydney, and the runway's just coming into sight. We'll pop down to flaps 10. And we'll put it on approach very, very shortly. Looks like we're lining up pretty good, pretty good. So we're below the glide slope at the moment for the approach. Nicely lined up. So we're going to approach mode now. I like the smokestack there on the right hand side on approach. That's a nice touch by Fly Tampa. That's definitely Fly Tampa. That's not done by default or Orbx or anything like that from memory. So if you're new to these sorts of videos, this is the 3rd episode of a new series called Full Flight. So if you're not familiar with them, it's a very raw format footage. Basically, I wanted to take you guys along on flights that I do for fun during the week. And I thought, you know, why don't we do where you guys as the viewers can request them, and I'll see if I can reenact the flights, but do it in a raw sort of footage, so there's not many cinematics or screenshots or musics or anything like that in these videos, because it does take a lot of work to do. It's like the test drive videos each week, so for me to do 2 videos or 2 lots of content, I needed to make sure that I cut the editing time down on these videos. So it's more of a bit of a fun flight and have a bit of a chat, what's going on in my flight sim life for the week, what's my thoughts. And there we go, there's more scenery loading in. So yes, it happens to me too. The docks are coming into view. You got Sydney in the background there, so everything's looking good. The gears are down, and I'm going to slow the aircraft down to 150. Forgot how to fly the 737 there for a second. But like I was saying before, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. If there's anything that you see that I'm doing wrong, let me know. And if anything you would like me to add into these videos, or if you want to request a flight, please do. I'm keeping a list on a spreadsheet, and I'm going to try to get to them as many as possible. But I'm enjoying this quite immensely. And we will substitute these videos with some streams as well. So I don't know, in the next couple of weeks we'll do the first stream, and every now and then you guys will see me just do a stream off the cuff too on a weekend. So just put auto brake onto 1, and then with the speed brake. So I'm going to be quiet now. Please enjoy as we arrive into runway 34 left into Sydney with the Fly Tampa scenery. So talk to you soon. Whoa, that was a bit interesting. Frames were really bad, and then I was all over it. Just pretty much floated it, and then I think I landed on the right rear gear first before I landed on the left gear. So not a very nice landing for the passengers. Was interesting for me, and of course Traffic Global put a twin turbo prop on the runway, which sort of put me off. And what is this guy doing right now? Speaking of Traffic Global, what's he doing? Chicken? Oh, I'm gonna have to switch on the anchors. No worries, mate. Just go straight through. Not a problem whatsoever. We'll wait for you. Absolutely insane. That's the issues when you have traffic. I've never actually had traffic out on that. You know, worries about where you are. But anyways, that was cool. We'll just stop in the middle of the runway, and we'll keep going now. But we've been saying that, so while we clean up the aircraft, we'll have a quick look at the replay. We'll see how Chase Plane will go with that. As usual, replays make your landings look a little bit better. But we're going to turn off the runway here. We can see all the red tails with the kangaroos, so that's where we're going to find a park up there. We'll clean the aircraft up, we'll keep doing it. Turn the taxi lights on, turn the lights off. We'll turn on the APU, and strobes can go off. I love the rain effect puddles with the fly Tampa scenery. I think it's a really nice touch. And we'll turn the TCAS off, and I'm probably falling off the side of the taxiway when I do it. No, we're just going really slow. That's okay. We need to find a spot here somewhere. For some reason, all the Virgin Blue aircraft or Virgin Atlantic aircraft are Virgin America in Traffic Global at the moment, so not sure what's up with that. We're going to park. We'll just park right here. That should do quite nicely. Alrighty, time to shut down the aircraft. So the APU's all started up, so we'll flick back over to that. We need to turn the APU bleed on in a second. I probably should have already done it, so we'll just cut the engines off. Turn the bleed on. We'll turn one lot of packs off. We'll start shutting down, so turn the probes off. The window heats can go off. We'll take the seatbelt sign off so everybody can get up. And I'll just keep shutting the aircraft down. I won't do the whole thing because that will delay, make the video a little bit longer. So that concludes the milk run from Melbourne all the way to Sydney. So if you want to request a flight, please leave a comment below. It's much appreciated. I'll see if I can come up with one. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, hit the thumbs up as well. That'd be much appreciated. Should be a test drive video coming out later on in the week. I won't tell you what it is because at this stage, when I did this video, I probably didn't know what it was. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Cheers. Goodbye.